Hello, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see, I'm doing a pineapple Weizenbock. So it's going to be a step mash, this one. It's brewing the bag as it always is, and the grains, we've got 32% wheat malt, we've got 21% Pilsner, 14% Munich, 6% torrefied wheat, and 4% flaked wheat. Now I've just crushed this, so that's all ready to go. And then the hops, we've got Hallertau Mittelfrüh and Tettnang. What I'm going to do, well, there's my salts. What I'm going to do about the yeast, I'm going to do mixed yeast on this one. I'm going to put 4 grams of this banana split in and 2 grams of the Gretel in. 2 new yeast to me. So hopefully I can harvest some yeast off this brew. Got me with a kit there. And this one's going to be fermented in one of my plastic buckets because it's got to have the pineapple. Now I'll show you now the pineapple stuff. I'm about a week before brew day, but what I've got to do is prep the pineapple. Gonna skin it, chop it up, put it in freezer bags and freeze it, and then use it in the secondary fermentation. Hopefully the freezing process helps break down all the cells and just gives off more of the juice and the flavours in the secondary. So yep, this is way before brew day, but just so you know how I'm going to do that. Right, so that ended up with 2.3 kilos pineapple, chopped up, chunked, gonna go in the freezer. And because of that amount, I'm going to be fermenting this in one of my plastic buckets, but don't fancy getting that out of my pressure fermenter or one of my glass carboy Demi-johns. So yeah, put that in the freezer until I'm ready to brew now. So there you go, so that pineapple is in the freezer. It's going to go into secondary, and yeah, it's going to be a step mash, which I've done before, but it's been a while. But I've got to do the following, like this. So there's my notebook. So that's the schedule for the mash. So it's a bit different for the video. So yeah, so everything's ready, crushed, just waiting for the water to get up. So a good strike temp at 35, well about 37. So yeah, everything's there. I'll crack on. So we're up to the first temp, which is 35 Celsius. This is basically called the acid rest. I will put on the screen what this actually means and why we're doing it. Basically, it's traditionally done in Germany. It was to get better results from the grains and to get some flavours as well, but we don't need to do it. I'm just doing it because it's traditional to do so. So I thought it'd be a bit of fun to do it. Also, I mentioned the percentage in the grains. What I didn't mention was that also includes the pineapple makes up for about 23% of the fermentables. So if you wasn't going to put the pineapple in, the wheat malt is actually 55% of this grain bill. Hope that makes sense. So yeah, it's not just 32% of the wheat malt, it's 55%. You've got to have more wheat in it. And then you've obviously got the torrefied wheat and you've got the flake wheat. So it's quite a big wheat addition in this. So I did forget to mention that 23% of fermentables is going to be crushed pineapple. And the inspiration for this brew came from Hackney Church and Rate My Beer. They did a pineapple Weizenbock, which I actually had and I enjoyed. So I thought I wouldn't mind having a go at trying to do something very similar. So that's what this beer is all about. So yeah, so this is the first one. This is the acid rest. Got to do this 5-minute stand. Very thick in there, in that bottom. Got all the water in, it's brewing the bag. Just need to throw in my salts as well. There you go. So that's the to reach a Munich style water profile. So let's give this another stir. So yeah, so you don't have to do this. I'm just doing it because it's a traditional method, and I want to try and get some of them flavours that you get traditionally from a wheat malt as well. So I'm going to leave it now to stand for 5 minutes. Okay, so we're at the next step now, which is 52 Celsius. This is going to be a 15-minute steep, and this is the protein rest. So, yeah, let's just give it a good stir, let it sit for 15 minutes at this temp, and we'll move on to the next temp. Lots of little steps. And just to confirm again, it's around about overall wheat content in this 55%. That's including the torrefied wheat and the flake wheat, and obviously the malted wheat. So yeah, 55%, good total fermentable wheat. So got my pH sample. As you can see, it's really milky at this stage. Looks like a turbid mash that you get in a spontaneous brew. So yeah, I'm going to check the pH on that. If you're wondering how I'm basically going from one step to the other without the grains in the bag scorching on the bottom of the pan, I'm using these little clips. So clip the bag to the side of the pan. So the grains are still in the water, in the liquor, as we should call it now. But the bag is not touching the bottom, so them grains are going to slowly warm up between each step as well. So it just keeps that bag off the bottom of the pan. Okay, step 3. So this is the saccharification, first saccharification rest. So this is at 63 Celsius, and this is going to be a 45-minute steep. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so next step. So this is a saccharification number 2. This is going to be 72 Celsius for a 30-minute steep. So yeah, just one more left after this, which will be the mash out. So yeah, 72, 30 minutes. Okay, so we reached the final step now. So 10 minutes, 78. This is the mash out. So I'll just put a quick explanation up on the screen about the mash out. I've done that before in a couple of my other videos. But yeah, this is the last one, then I can start to move on to a boil. Okay, so that's the mash out done. So it's time to drain the bag now. All that worked, get it out, and then get a boil going. So there we go, reached a boil. Got a lot of protein in here, so I'm just going to stir a little bit of that in. And then it's going to be a 60-minute boil. First edition of hops at 60 minute. The bittering one, well, it's basically both hop editions is going to be bittering. It's not going to be a really bitter beer, we'll just need to balance it a bit. So we've got Hallertau Mitterfrau going in at the 60 minute. So I'm going to put that in now. And then we've got Tettnang going in at the 45-minute mark. So let's get these in. Okay, so we've got Tettnang 45-minute edition going in. So that's it for the additions. It's going to be at the end of boil now and then into the cooling pan. So yeah, the mashing is the long process, but the boil is only 2 additions. So just get this boiled 45 more minutes and then into the cooling pan. Okay, 60-minute boil done. Got to get this in the cooling pan, get it cooled down, get it in the fermenting bucket and pitch some yeast. So let's crack on. A lot of protein left in the pan. There's probably about 1.5 litres in there, and the majority of it is protein from that process and that wheat malt. So yeah, crack on. Okay, so the final bit is to pitch. I'm using 6 grams of the yeast. I've done it a 4 gram and a 2 gram split. Doing a dry, not going to hydrate it. Now I'm going to put this about 22 degrees for approximately 2 weeks, and then halfway through I'll be adding that pineapple. Okay, so that's it. Put in the fermentation fridge, 22 degrees, like I say, 2 weeks. Well, less than that because I need to put that pineapple in. But yeah, brew day done, and then we'll do a grain to glass. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on another one.